Meeting is now being recorded.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I would like to call the regular meeting of July 25th, 2022 to order. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand. Pledge allegiance to the flag. Will the secretary please call roll?
Commissioner Alderete, Commissioner Calderon,
Present.
Commissioner McLaughlin,
Aye.
Commissioner Ramos, Commissioner Wu,
Here.
Vice Chair Pham,
Here.
Chair Morrissey.
Here.
And for the record, Commissioner Alderete will be absent from today's meeting. Chair, you have quorum.
Okay, thank you. Before we begin, I'd like to remind my fellow commissioners to turn off their microphones, to turn your microphones on when speaking and off when not speaking. And when speaking, please keep the microphone 4 inches from your. Thank you. Members of the public may attend Planning Commission meetings in person or virtually via Zoom. I now invite the Commission Secretary to describe the way the public can access and participate in this meeting.
Thank you. This meeting is being live streamed via our portal at santa-ana.primegov.com/public/portal and to YouTube at youtube.com/City of Santa Ana videos. If you would like to provide a public comment, you may do so in one of the following ways. Join the meeting via Zoom. Enter meeting ID 833-647-43418. When the item that you would like to comment on is being discussed, select the hand icon to let us know you would like to speak. You will be called upon by the name you entered. You can also join the meeting by calling 669-900-9128. Enter meeting ID 833-647-43418. When the item that you would like to comment on is being discussed, press *9 to let us know you would like to speak. You will be called upon by the last 3 digits of your phone number. After you are called upon, you may press *6 to unmute yourself. For those who are attending this meeting in person and would like to provide a public comment, please fill out a request to speak form and turn it into the secretary. All speakers will have 3 minutes to speak, and I will alert you when your time is up. Back to you, Chair.
Thank you. We'll move on to public comments on non-agenda items. Secretary, does anyone wish to speak?
Yes, we do have one in-person speaker, if you'd like to come up to the podium. And if you are participating via Zoom or calling in and you'd like to make a comment on a non-agenda item, please select the hand icon or press *9 now.
Thank you. My name is Wesley Menke and my address is 1032 West Park Lane in the Morrison Park neighborhood of Santa Ana. My purpose is to address the housing crisis, the lack of affordable housing in the city. One cause of that is the proliferation of vacation rentals, commonly called Airbnbs, and increasingly these are being done by speculators and large commercial outfits buying up property. That's not the case for me and my wife. We would like to operate a short-term rental in the city. Currently, nothing on the website addresses it. It recently came to our attention that it's since it's not listed under a permissive item in R1, then it can be cited. My proposal to you is that you would consider adding it as a conditional use. I believe there's items A through K. This could be item L. This would actually help the city because we have found the majority of our guests who we allowed before we knew it wasn't permitted are family of local residents. 85% de nuestros huéspedes hablan español, son de México. The 85% of our guests are Spanish speaking family members, visiting members in the area, or tourists. I would encourage you to consider something closer to the Anaheim model, where they have a finite number that they allow in the city. levy a tax on it, we would gladly pay occupancy tax. We would gladly pay a higher license fee than a residential rental. And that would shore it up. Right now on Airbnb, there's over 1,000 units. I believe that if someone comes into the city, they want to operate it, they don't see anything that says that they can't. For example, in Irvine, it says very clearly in their website, you can't do it. Doesn't say that anywhere on the Santa Ana website. I understand the logic of it not being listed as permissive, therefore it can be cited. Again, my suggestion to remedy this would be to actually implement a program. We would gladly comply via model. We purchased our home because I was a pastor in the city. I was called to St. Peter Lutheran Church in the Willard neighborhood. I served there 3 years, learned a lot. I was called to another calling in Upland, and that church provides housing. It's the only reason we were able to keep this house. We fell in love with the city. We want to stay in the city. We are here every week, and we would like to continue that. If you limited it so that no one could have more than one property, that would be very equitable, especially considering, ADUs and the like, to addressing the need for housing. Thank you.
Mr. Menke. All right. Thank you very much.
Chair, we do not have any speakers via Zoom.
Okay, thank you. We will move on to consent calendar items. Is there a motion to approve item A, the minutes from June 27th, 2022?
I'd like to move we approve the minutes.
I'll second.
A motion by Commissioner Wu and a second by Commissioner Calderon. Secretary, you
Roll.
please perform a roll call vote.
Yes. Commissioner Calderon,
Aye.
Commissioner McLaughlin,
Aye.
Commissioner Ramos,
Aye.
Commissioner Wu,
Aye.
Vice Chair Pham,
Aye.
Chair Morrissey.
Aye.
Motion passes by majority vote with Commissioner Aldereti absent.
Okay, do we have a motion to excuse the absence of Commissioner Aldretti?
I move we accept.
Second.
A motion by Commissioner Wu and a second by Commissioner McLaughlin.
Roll call, Commissioner Calderon,
Aye.
Commissioner McLaughlin,
Aye.
Commissioner Ramos,
Aye.
Commissioner Wu,
Aye.
Vice Chair Pham,
Aye.
Chair Morrissey.
Aye.
Motion passes by majority vote with Commissioner Aldereti absent.
That concludes the consent calendar, and we'll move on to the business calendar. I'll go through the public hearing protocols. The process for public hearing, so everyone knows what to expect. First, the staff will provide a presentation and answer questions from the commission. Public hearing will be opened. The applicant will be given the opportunity to speak, limited to 15 minutes. Members of the public will be given the opportunity to comment, limited to 3 minutes. The applicant will be given the opportunity to respond to comments made by the public, limited to 5 minutes. The public hearing will be closed. Discussion will return to the commission with formal action taken to approve, conditionally approve, deny, or continue review of the application. Please consider the following suggestions when organizing your comments. First, please state your name and address, which is strictly voluntary. Next, state whether you support, oppose, or are neutral to the proposal. And lastly, your statement should include all pertinent facts within your knowledge. Avoid gossip, emotion, repetition. A clear, concise, and non-repetitive argument is most effective. First item on the public hearing calendar is conditional use permit number 2022-08 for the property located at 2241 North Fairview Street. Staff has requested this item be continued to the next regularly scheduled meeting, and we'll need a motion on this matter to continue it to the next regular meeting.
Motion to approve, continue.
Motion to continue.
Yeah, motion to continue.
We have a motion by Commissioner McLaughlin,
I second.
second by Commissioner Wu. Secretary, can you do a roll call vote?
Commissioner Calderon,
Aye.
Commissioner McLaughlin,
Aye.
Commissioner Ramos,
Aye.
Commissioner Wu,
Aye.
Vice Chair Pham.
Aye.
And Chair Morrissey.
Aye.
Motion passes by majority vote with Commissioner Alderedi absent.
Okay, thank you. The next item. This is the time and place for public hearing on item number 2, conditional use permit number 2022-10 for the property located at 3503 South Harbor Boulevard. Please note, the decision on this matter is final unless appealed within 10 days by any interested individual or party. Before we begin, do commissioners have anything they wish to disclose with regards to this item? Start with Commissioner Calderon,
No disclosures.
Commissioner McLaughlin,
No.
Commissioner Wu,
No comment.
Commissioner Ramos,
No disclosures.
Vice Chair Pham.
No disclosures.
And I don't have any disclosures. So staff, Mr. Pedro Gomez will now provide a brief presentation.
Thank you. Good evening, Chair and fellow commissioners. The second item on tonight's agenda is a request for an approval of a conditional use permit to allow for ancillary banquet facility use for private events at an existing facility at 3503 South Harbor Boulevard. The site is located on the northeast corner of Harbor Boulevard and Lake Center Drive. It has a general plan designation of professional and administrative office and has a zoning designation of professional. The subject site is currently contains 2 buildings, including a 48,000 square foot medical office, which can be seen on the screen here. And the subject 25,290 square foot entertainment venue, which is on the screen here towards the east of that medical office building. The site is surrounded by professional and medical offices to the north and south, commercial to the east, and professional offices to the west. Here we have some site photos. The first photo is looking east towards the front of the building. And the second photo is of a patio area located on the south side of the building, closest to Lake Center Drive. The site is currently operating as a concert entertainment venue known as the Observatory. In October of 1994, CUP number 1994-16 was approved to allow indoor concert and dinner facility with a type 47 ABC license. At the time, the venue operated as Galaxy Concert Theater until October 2011, when the venue name changed to the Observatory. In May 2019, Live Nation took over the concert operations for this location. And in February 2021, CUP number 2020-22 was approved to allow the expansion of the sale of alcoholic beverages for on-premise consumption to the outside patio in conjunction with the existing concert facility. This new CUP would allow for ancillary banquet facility use for private events, such as business conferences, parties, community events, and weddings. The additional ancillary use will be invitation only and will not change the primary nature or operation of the venue. Private events would take place during existing permitting operating hours of the venue. The current operating hours of the venue are Monday through Sunday from 7 a.m. to 2 a.m. These hours are not proposed to change as part of the applicant's request. The next couple of slides show the existing site plan and floor plans. The proposed banquet service would require no changes to the existing venue. All improvements would be existing and no construction is proposed. So here we have the existing site plan. You can see the medical office to the west and then the concert building here. And here we have the existing ground floor plan. You can see that existing south patio that showed in the image. And then the existing concert area within the ground floor. And here we have the existing conditions of the floor plan on the second floor. Staff analyzed the applicant's request and noted that the subject site is not located within the immediate proximity to parks, playgrounds, schools, or religious institutions. The building is located approximately 1,800 feet away from the nearest multifamily residences in Costa Mesa and approximately 0.5 miles from the nearest single-family residences in Santa Ana. As a result, the granting of the CUP will not negatively impact any sensitive land uses that may be nearby. The banquet facility use will allow the applicant to maximize the use of the venue and remain economically viable and competitive with similar establishments that provide private event options. In addition, the private events are intended to provide a service ancillary to the primary entertainment and restaurant use. Staff notes that the banquet facilities as primary or ancillary uses are subject to development and operation standards outlined in the Santa Ana Municipal Code. These include the facility providing a full-service kitchen facility, sanitation facilities, uniform state licensed security guards, exterior lighting in compliance with police department requirements. As existing, the venue provides all of those mentioned development and operational standards. Moreover, the recommended conditions of approval will ensure that uniform security and compliance with the Santa Ana Municipal Code will be provided for all private events, that the proposed use would meet all city noise requirements, and that the use would comply with property maintenance requirements. Lastly, the use would be consistent with goals and policies of the newly adopted general plan. Pursuant to the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA, the project is categorically exempt through Class 1 as an existing facility, and there's no fiscal impacts associated with this proposed use. With that, staff recommends the approval of conditional use permit number 2022-10 as conditioned. I do want to note that the applicants are here in attendance today if there's any questions directed to them, but I'd be happy to answer any questions for staff.
Okay, thank you. We'll bring it back to the commission, see if they have any questions for staff. I'll start with Commissioner Calderon.
I have no questions.
Commissioner McLaughlin.
Refresh my memory, but the medical facility on the corner there is Kaiser, correct? Is that a office building or is that actually a patient facility?
You know what, Commissioner, I'm not entirely sure if that's a Kaiser building or not. I do know it's a medical office building, but specific site, I wouldn't be able to tell you. Perhaps maybe the applicant can.
I mean, that would be an influence of what kind of noise you could tolerate as part of the facility. So just trying to figure that out. When we did this, I mean, we had this come in front of us a year ago, 2 years ago, maybe. And there was some reservations on this. Do we have record of that and understand what that was?
The Commissioner, the conditional use permit that you're referring to was an expansion of alcohol services
Yeah.
to the patio area. I don't recall if there was any reservations about the use itself. I think Chair Morrissey might have brought up some issues that he thought were about the building permit process and occupancy possibly and exiting. But that's all I recall. I mean,
there was also the discussion about the fact that here they were looking for a liquor license that basically allowed them to serve alcohol outside in the courtyard.
It was an expansion of an existing liquor license they
Right.
had, yes.
Which was internal to the facility.
At the time it was internal, now it allows
Right.
outside, yes.
So the question I have is that with this new proposal, the alcohol and food will now become part of the outside.
This new proposal is only for a banquet use for private events.
Which would be food.
Exactly. So through the previous conditional use permits that this has been approved for, private events would be able to have alcohol use on the outside patios as well, along with food, if the
Okay.
private event calls for that.
Okay. All right.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Wu, do you have any comments or questions?
Yeah, along the line of questioning, I just want to clarify. Under the previous planning commission, it was already approved for a banquet facility and the hours. And to be clear, it seems like it's a private event, which does not mean that you sell tickets and you have it as an entertainment event at 8 o'clock in the morning. However, if I was to have a jam session with Keith Richards and Pete Townsend of The Who, and I invite my friends,
You'd be my
There.
hero.
and have some beer, right? You know, and if you beg me, I'll let you come, Mark. And that's all it would be, right? And I asked them to, and there's a kitchen facility that's our grandfather in there to provide the food. More likely, it might be something like a retreat meeting or, you know, a breakfast thing with family, it allows other kinds of uses as a banquet facility, right? And there's shared parking between the medical facility and I think also the venue, right?
Thank you, Commissioner. To your question about shared parking, there is shared parking, a shared parking agreement in place. I don't recall if the applicant anticipated off-site parking for the private events, but it's an option.
Yeah, and probably there's self-regulating in terms of the number of people that they would hold to those kind of event. And I'm just thinking of that because it's not a problem in the evening when medical offices are closed. And it's been one of those facilities that haven't gotten into a lot of trouble. So I just want to clarify that and understand a little more. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Wu. Commissioner Ramos, do you have any questions?
Yes, I have one question. So I'm looking through the resolution and under letter H, number 4, there's a mention of uniform security in compliance with a section of the municipal code. So I'm just wondering if uniform security will be required for all events, or does the municipal code state which events like might trigger the need for uniform security?
Thank you, Commissioner. I don't have the exact language in front of me, but it's if it does have a threshold, it's probably based on the occupancy of the event. If there's a certain amount that could be considered potentially needing a uniform, then that would be triggered and they'd have to comply with those requirements. I don't know if for like a 20-person event, they would need one. So I don't have that in front of me, but I'm fairly certain it's based on the count of occupants.
Great, thank you. That's my only question for now.
Thank you, Commissioner. Vice Chair Pham.
Chair. Pedro, can you clarify for me what's the distinction between what's being asked now versus how the venue is being operated currently? My impression is it's a restaurant. Is that correct? And so what's stopping a restaurant from allowing private parties or banquet? Because my assumption is any restaurant would be able to have their venue booked. And so my understanding of what's being proposed or being asked now is to allow that. It seems like it's very kind of, it's just very compatible with what's being used now.
Sure. Thank you, Commissioner. It really has to do with the zoning. The zoning for this site is professional. Banquet uses are permitted, but they require a conditional use permit. Previous conditional use permits have been approved for this purely for concert and entertainment venues and restaurants. So it's kind of evolved throughout the years. But currently the operations are for ticket sales only, concerts, just really concerts. This specific ask is for the private events that are not ticket sales, weddings, corporate events, and then be entirely private. So there's no ticket sales involved. Live Nation is still the operator of the site though. So they'd still be coordinating with the folks looking to have a venue space for their event, but there wouldn't be that public kind of side to it like concerts or entertainment events at this place.
Understood. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, I have, are those all your questions? Okay, thanks. I have a couple questions. Last time this came up, I feel obliged to comment again based on the floor plan I saw. Did a building official confirm that the exiting from those outdoor patios is currently code compliant?
Thank you, Chair. We did. The last permit in 2019 was for the courtyard wall and then path of travel. So that went through all the city's requirements through planning and building and met all code requirements at the time. And the inspector felt that was sufficiently meeting all exiting requirements.
Okay, thank you. And then the other question is regarding the uniform security. How is the who hires the uniform security and what are the licensing requirements?
That may be a great question for the operator, Live Nation, who are in attendance today. My guess it's up until now, it's depending on who's kind of booking the act. There's insurances that come into play and then responsibilities from the acts to provide security. In this case, I imagine there's some sort of agreement where the folks who are hired or booking the event would have to provide based on the number of occupants they anticipate, but Live Nation could probably better answer that.
Okay, thank you. I don't have any further questions. Madam Secretary, have we received any written communication?
We have not.
Okay, I will open the public hearing. Would the applicant like to speak on the matter?
Hey, good evening. My name is Steve Rawlings. I'm here on behalf of Live Nation. Joining me this evening are Jeffrey Thompson, who is the general manager of the location, as well as Elizabeth Cruz, who's the senior vice president of legal affairs for Live Nation. Just a couple of quick comments, and then obviously we'll do our best to try to address some of the questions that have already been asked there. First of all, we've worked pretty extensively with staff on this, on some of the technicalities and details of the language. And I do want to say that we do, for the record, we do accept all of the conditions, draft conditions of approval that are for you this evening. The nature of this request is simply to be able to utilize the space in times in which a large concert is not being held. So we're talking about, Chamber of Commerce breakfasts. We're talking about corporate parties. When people are at the Anaheim Convention Center, they're always looking for their own breakaway type of venues. Those happen to be a lot of times during the week. So those are the types of events that we'd like to be able to utilize this facility for. Live Nation operates a very large number of venues, and this is not something that's uncommon for them. In terms of security, obviously we provide security at any one of our concerts. We have in-house staff, and then as necessary, we'll bring in third-party licensed security guards. We also hire Santa Ana police for our larger concert events. The events that we're talking about hosting are typically going to be much, much smaller in size than what we would normally have for a big ticketed event. We always ask and require that the people looking to have an event tell us how many people are expected at the event so that we can staff appropriately, both with our serving staff as well as appropriate security. So with that, I think Jeffrey's got a couple of things to add, but thank you for your consideration. Oh, I covered it. Yeah, you did. Okay, well, I think we've covered it. If we didn't answer any of your questions, please feel free to ask them, and we'll do our best to get you an answer.
If you want to stay up at the podium, we might have a few additional questions for you. And does the commission have any questions for the applicant? And I'll start with Commissioner Calderon.
I have no questions.
Commissioner McLaughlin?
Did we figure out, is the Kaiser building next door a office?
It's Optum, and there are medical offices. Yes,
It's what?
Optum.
It's a company named Optum that operates and then it's all medical offices. They don't see patients on. We're not aware that they're open on weekends or in the evenings. And
Optum's sort of like a UniHealth is a health and.
Yeah.
Commissioner Wu, do you have any questions for the applicant?
For a venue that serves heavy metal and punk, another group, you guys are pretty tame. To understand, I think what you were doing was dovetailing the existing conditional use permit that you use. All you'll be doing is applying it towards the usage for private events without sale, and there'll probably be smaller scale, like I could have a family event there and ask you guys to do barbecue or something, or right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Now, does the entertainment thing carry over so that you could have a DJ or you'd have a small group play?
you can inside the building, there's two places, there's the main concert hall.
Oh,
and then
but
there's a
in the
smaller one.
patio, could you
On the
have
patio,
walk?
we have conditions that do not allow us to have a DJ and
Oh, okay, so that was discussed with staff already. Okay, so there's no entertainment there, but in the existing place there is. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner Ramos.
No questions at this time. Thank you.
Vice Chair Pham.
I think the purpose of the proposal is to add additional uses to the site. My concern is given that it also actually intensifies the use of that said site, whereas usually it would be, music venues during the weekends. And so we see less usage of the site during the weekdays where you have a shared parking agreement with your neighbors. Like you mentioned, the CUP would allow you to have corporate events and events that are usually taken within the weekdays. So my question is how many days within the week do you anticipate additional business at the venue?
many of the events that we're used to having are going to be like corporate events are typically in the evening. If you had a bunch of people in town for a convention, they're usually going to have something, Tuesday or Wednesday evening. Other events that are daytime events are usually pretty small in scale. We also have an overflow parking lot that we have a parking agreement on. We have the ability to valet if that's requested from the client. So in the sense, I understand where maybe there's a higher number of events. The events that we're looking to add are certainly not going to exceed the occupancy levels that we would see at a Friday or Saturday night concert. I believe our occupancy is with staff and people, I think it approaches around 1,500 people, and we certainly will never, a private event would not typically be anywhere near that size.
You're looking at more lighter events during the weekdays.
Pardon me?
You're looking for lighter events during the weekdays.
Yeah, absolutely.
Understood. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Did you address the security issue? I was curious how security is selected and what the licensing requirements.
We have our own in-house security staff, which are direct employees of Live Nation.
Mhm.
And then when we need to augment, we do hire a third-party security, and they have to have security guard cards, is what they call them, trained by the state. They're under our supervision when they're on our premises. And then for the big concerts, we contract with Santa Ana PD, and I think we have 4 minimum.
2 minimum.
2 minimum Santa Ana police officers for the larger events. And again, not likely to have much security for a Chamber of Commerce breakfast, a big corporate event. Of course, we're always going to have additional security.
Okay, thank you. I don't think we have any further questions for you. Appreciate
Thank you very much.
your presentation.
Chair, if I may, just for the record, to Commissioner Ramos's question earlier, it's 1 security guard per 100 attendees, and that's per the municipal code, and it's actually a condition of approval number 9 as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll now take comments from the public. Madam Secretary, do we have any members of the public that would like to comment?
If you are participating via Zoom or calling in, please select the hand icon or press *9. If you are in person and would like to comment on this item, please fill out a request to speak. We'll wait a couple seconds. We do not have any speakers.
All right, thank you. And we'll close the public hearing and bring it back to the commission. Does the commission have any final questions for staff? Start with Commissioner Calderon.
I have no questions.
Commissioner McLaughlin.
No questions.
Commissioner Wu.
No question.
Commissioner Ramos.
No additional questions. Thank you.
Vice Chair Pham.
One additional question. The current parking agreement that is in place between the property owner and the existing tenants, is that updated with this new with this new use that's being asked by the applicant, or is it already something that's been agreed upon and additional parking during the weekdays will change that agreement?
Thank you, Commissioner. The parking agreement is something that's in place. This additional use would not affect that parking agreement currently. And purely because of what the consultant for Live Nation mentioned, that there's probably never going to be a time where a private event would go up to 1,500 people as like the concert entertainment venues would have. So there's not an anticipation that we're going to go above and beyond the parking demand for the current use with the private event. So we're satisfied with the parking agreement that it would provide sufficient parking.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't have any further questions.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion.
I'll call for a motion.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to motion that we approve condition use permit number 2022-10 as condition.
Second.
A motion from Commissioner Wu and a second from Commissioner Calderon. Make a roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Calderon,
Aye.
Commissioner McLaughlin,
Aye.
Commissioner Ramos,
Aye.
Commissioner Wu,
Aye.
Vice Chair Pham,
Aye.
Chair Morrissey.
Aye.
Motion passes by majority vote with Commissioner Alderete absent.
Congratulations. This is the time and place for public hearing on item number 3, conditional use permit number 2022-11 for the property located at 201 East Sandpoint Avenue, Suite 150. Please note, decision on this matter is final unless appealed within 10 days by any interested individual or party. Before we begin, do any commissioners have anything they wish to disclose? We'll start with Commissioner Calderon.
I have nothing to disclose.
Commissioner McLaughlin,
Nothing to disclose.
Commissioner Wu,
No disclosure.
Commissioner Ramos,
No disclosures.
Vice Chair Pham,
No disclosures.
and I have nothing to disclose. And we'll have Ms. Heidi Jacinto will now provide a brief presentation.
Chair. Item number 3 this evening is for Roquette Cafe and Bistro. This is a CUP request for on-premise. For on-premise consumption of alcoholic beverages. CUP number 2022-11. The project site is 201 East Sandpoint Avenue, Suite 105 within Ward 4. Jeffrey Samuel, the applicant, is representing Roquette Cafe and Bistro on behalf of the property owner, A Street Partners. And again, they are requesting a conditional use permit to allow for sale of alcoholic beverages for on-premise consumption under a type 41 beer and wine license. This would be at a new eating establishment at, again, 201 East Sandpoint Avenue, Suite 105. Staff's recommendation is to approve CUP number 2022-11 as conditioned. The project is located within the general plan designation of District Center 1, DC 1. The zoning designation is specific development number 76, also known as Hutton Center. The surrounding land uses include a parking lot to the north, multifamily residential to the east, a business park to the south, and more multifamily residential to the west. This is a picture of the site. It's located along Sandpoint. For some background, the eating establishment would be located with an existing 2,047 square foot suite. Roquette Cafe and Bistro will operate as a locally based eating establishment, offering French-inspired food for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. The establishment would operate from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. daily. Currently, they are not proposing any after-hours operations or live entertainment. And the eating establishment is currently in plan check for interior remodels and exterior improvements that would include replacing the existing patio enclosure with glass and wrought iron railing and making improvements to the awnings. This is a site plan. The cafe would be along Sandpoint. And this is the floor plan. As you can see, the red highlighted area would be the alcohol storage and display area. And it is approximately 1.5% of the gross floor area. Business meets state and the Santa Ana Municipal Code qualifications to be considered an eating establishment for a type 41 ABC license. The sale of alcoholic beverages will provide an ancillary service to the residents and visitors of the area. And again, the storage and display of alcoholic beverages will be less than 5% as required by the Santa Ana Municipal Code. The proposed use would have minimal impacts to nearby residents as the site is located within an existing office park and would not alter the nature of the surrounding community. The police department is satisfied with the operational standards applicable to on-premise ABC licenses and will mitigate any potential impacts to the surrounding community and therefore is not opposed to the granting of the CUP. Conditions of approval, a property maintenance agreement and standards set by the Santa Municipal Code will address any potential negative impacts. Categorical exemption based on existing facilities will be filed for this project, and there will be no anticipated fiscal impact with this project. Staff recommends approval for CUP 2022-11 as conditioned. That concludes my presentation. The applicant is present today and is available for questions as a staff. Thank you.
Thank you for the presentation. Does the commission have any questions for staff at this point? Start with Commissioner Calderon.
Just to clarify, the restaurant hasn't opened yet, correct? Where it's already.
No, the restaurant is not open yet. They are currently in plan check.
Okay.
The eating establishment is a permissible use. The request is for the sale of beer and wine.
Got it. Thank you.
Commissioner McLaughlin.
No comment.
No comment, no
At this
questions.
moment.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Wu.
Were there any comments from the Sandpoint Neighborhood Association or the apartment houses nearby?
We did not receive any comments, no.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Ramos.
I don't have any questions right now. Thank you.
Vice Chair Pham.
No questions at the moment.
Yeah, I don't have any questions. And have we received any written communication?
We
Madam
have not
Secretary?
received any written communication.
Okay, thank you. And I'll open the public hearing, and would the applicant like to speak on the matter?
Hi, good evening. Do
Evening.
you have any question?
Okay, well, we can bring it back to the commission and see if there's any questions for you. Commissioner Calderon, do you have any questions for the applicant?
I have no questions. Thank you.
Commissioner McLaughlin?
When is this facility going to be in operation?
It's normally will be middle of October if the construction and the permit has approved as I want.
Commissioner Wu, do you have any questions?
Just out of curiosity, how French is French? Is it an American view of the French or your childhood memory of French food?
With my accent is hard to hide. Pure French came here 15 years ago. Well, it's always my goal to open my own cafe. That will be the first one. And hopefully we will do a great job there. Yeah, that's it.
So it'd be French breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
French with California healthy. Yeah,
Okay.
not too heavy.
So you can leave some of the wine out and use less
Well,
butter?
Yes, is why actually the wine is important because of the dinner service and the brunch will be mostly French, and it's very important for us to have a good wine with good food.
And we don't have to wear a tuxedo to.
No. It will be, the concept is affordable food for everybody. You can come every day.
Merci.
Did you say you had another restaurant or had other restaurants?
No, that will be my first restaurant.
This is your first.
Yes, I actually work right now for another owner, Moulin, who has several locations as a chef. And but I've been a chef for 25 years, so it's time for me to grow.
Commissioner Ramos.
Yes, I have one question. Do you or does anybody on your staff have experience managing a type 41 license?
Yes, all of my manager will be some close employee I work with, and they know how to serve French food, and they be aware about all the process about serving wine, beer, and etc.
Great, thank you.
Commissioner,
No
Vice
questions
Chair
on mine.
Pham.
No questions.
No questions. I don't have any questions. Thank you for choosing Santa Ana for your restaurant.
Yes,
Look
thank
forward
you.
to having
And, I hope to serve the
different sort of
community very well. And thank you to Heidi. Good job.
Good.
we will now take comments from the public. Are there any members of the public who would like to comment?
If you are participating via Zoom, please select and would like to comment on this item, please select the hand icon or press *9. We do not have any speakers.
Okay, thank you. Close the public hearing. Does the commission have any final questions for staff? We'll start with Commissioner Calderon.
I have no questions.
Commissioner McLaughlin,
No questions.
Commissioner Wu,
No question.
Commissioner Ramos,
No questions, thank you.
Vice Chair Pham,
No questions.
and I have no questions. So I'll entertain a motion to approve this item.
All motion to approve conditional use permit number 2022-11.
I'll second that.
A motion from Commissioner Calderon, a second from Commissioner Wu. Madam Secretary, can you do a roll call vote?
Commissioner Calderon,
Aye.
Commissioner McLaughlin,
Aye.
Commissioner Ramos,
Aye.
Commissioner Wu,
Aye.
Vice Chair Pham,
Aye.
Chair Morrissey.
Aye.
Motion passes by majority vote with Commissioner Alderetti absent.
Okay.
Vive la France.
Congratulations. Good luck with your restaurant. So that concludes our public hearings. We'll now move on to administrative matters, and by bylaws, July is the month of our election of officers. So we're electing 3 officers, a new chair, vice chair, and Historic Resources Commission, representative to the Historic Resources Commission. Before we start, I would like to withdraw my name. If anybody was considering nominating me, I would like to pass the gavel to someone else, give someone else the opportunity this coming year. So I'd like to entertain nominations for chair.
Chair, I would like to self-nominate myself. Well, self-nominate.
Okay.
I'd like to
Nomination.
nominate Val Han.
Okay, we have 2 nominations on the floor. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Which second for Bao? Have any other seconds?
Second for Bao.
All right, we, Chair Wu, or Commissioner Wu just said, we had a second for Bao as chair from Commissioner Wu. So I'll call for the roll call vote.
Roll call. vote, Commissioner Calderon. Commissioner McLaughlin.
Aye.
Commissioner Ramos.
Aye.
Commissioner Wu,
Aye.
Vice Chair Pham,
Aye.
and Chair Morrissey.
Aye.
Motion passes by majority vote with Commissioner Alderete absent.
Okay, thank you. Congratulations, Chair.
Thank you.
So we will now accept nominations for the Vice Chair.
I'd like to submit the name of Miguel Calderon as vice chair.
Thank you. We have nomination of Miguel Calderon as Vice Chair. We have a second.
I'd like to self-nominate for vice chair as well.
Thank you. We also have a nomination of Commissioner Ramos as Vice Chair.
I'll second Commissioner Ramos.
Okay, we have a second for Commissioner Ramos as Vice Chair. Call for,
We have to go second on Miguel. Miguel's got a second.
yes. Want a second?
Miguel.
Second, Miguel. Okay, we have a second for Miguel as well. I will do a roll call vote for Commissioner Ramos.
Chair, given that we have two commissioners that have been nominated and there's a second, can there be a minute for each of us to maybe say?
Absolutely.
A
If
few words?
if you'd like to say a few words.
Thank you. So I've been on the commission for a little over a year now, and I enjoy being on the commission. I also have experience facilitating meetings as a commissioner. I was twice elected the chair of the Housing Commission, so I would like to offer my skill set to this commission. Thank you.
Thank you. Would you like to say anything, Commissioner Calderon?
I'll try to match Commissioner Ramos, but I didn't have a speech prepared, but I've been a little bit over, I've been in the commission board for a little bit over a year, and I was also in the Housing Commission. It's been a great learning experience, and I've never sat in the vice chair or chair position, and this would be a really good learning experience and represent my city. So, you know, I would really look forward to getting this position.
Thank you. So let's start with a roll call vote for Commissioner Ramos.
Roll call for Commissioner Ramos, Commissioner Calderon,
No.
Commissioner McLaughlin,
No.
Commissioner Ramos,
Yes.
Commissioner Wu,
No.
Commissioner Wu, you seconded. Commissioner Ramos?
I
No,
second.
that's
I'm
Oh.
sorry about that. Okay. Commissioner Wu, no. Vice Chair Pham
Yes.
and Chair Morrissey.
No.
Motion fails. Moving to the roll call for Commissioner Calderon. Commissioner Calderon,
Aye.
Commissioner McLaughlin,
Aye.
Commissioner Ramos,
No.
Commissioner Wu,
Aye.
Vice Chair Pham,
No.
and Chair Morrissey.
Aye.
Motion passes by majority vote with Commissioner Alderete absent and Commissioners Pham and Commissioners Pham and McLaughlin, Ramos and Pham dissenting.
All right, thank you. And we will, congratulations, Commissioner Calderon.
Congratulations.
And we will move to the nomination for the Historic Resources Representative from the Planning Commission.
I'd like to nominate Mark, because he's on it currently, right?
That's correct. We have a second.
I'll second.
Second from Commissioner Pham or Chair Pham, Vice Chair Pham.
Okay,
We have a roll call vote, please.
roll call vote. Commissioner Calderon,
Aye.
Commissioner McLaughlin,
Aye.
Commissioner Ramos,
No.
Commissioner Wu,
Aye.
And Vice Chair Pham,
Aye.
Chair Morrissey.
Aye.
Motion passes with, by majority vote with Commissioner Aldereti absent and Commissioner Ramos dissenting.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Congratulations. That will conclude the business calendar and we'll move on to comments. We'll start with commissioner comments. We'll start with Commissioner Calderon.
I just want to say thank you for the commissioners who voted me for this new role. I look forward to being the vice chair, and thank you staff for the presentations, and I look forward to future meetings. Thank you.
Commissioner McLaughlin, do you have any comments?
I just had one comment. I thought we talked about this, but there's this new ordinance for sidewalk restaurants. And how does that play out?
Since this wasn't exactly agendized for tonight, what I did though was I provided the follow-up email to the commission with the regulations established by the state on sidewalk vending, which severely limits our cities or any city's ability to regulate when it's completed and conducted on the sidewalk. There are two additional bills that are in the Senate right now that will further strip local control of that. So I sent all that information as a follow-up to the last meeting. I can resend that information again, but again, I think the theme here is that the state is severely limiting and stripping local control on that particular issue.
But the peculiarity sometimes is like when they're barbecue type, where you're using charcoal that's polluting the air, that smoke goes into Bristol Street, the one that I saw, that you're smoking in a crosswalk where kids are walking across there. It's only a matter of time when some kid or group of kids gonna get hit because people are already speeding on Bristol. So there must be, I know what you're saying, that sometimes our hands are tied with the state, but there must be some ability for local community to look at the location and the placement. Since it's right in front of a school, there's no filter on that smoke for polluting the air and other cancerous material. You know, so
I completely understand your perspective, and what we're doing is we're waiting for the resolution to the two upcoming bills, and that will greatly help us determine what type of options we have as a city to regulate, if any. But because the two bills are so close to being finalized, at this point, you know, we're anticipating that a lot of the city's local control will be stripped.
yeah, and for the record, I'm not against entrepreneurial people who are not in the economy have to find ways of surviving. But I think also we need some cooperation from the vendors in terms of how they operate their businesses so that they're not injurious to the or detriment to the community. And I think some of those kind of judgment things could be regulated on smoke, because we're not putting them out of business. We're just saying, hey, you got to find a better location, maybe, you know. So I don't know.
There's two locations on Bristol right now. One's right in front of Mendez Intermediate School. It's right there. And then the other one is on the opposite end of Bristol, just before you get to Levita. And it's at a gas station. As people get off the 22, it's boom, it's right in front of you. And I mean, I'll tell you, I drove past it yesterday, I was shocked because there was probably about 50 or 60 people online.
When it's completed and conducted on private property, we do have the ability to enforce. When it's in the public way, that's where, the public right of way, that's where the state and the county has jurisdiction. So where the state and the county has jurisdiction, the county is looking to work on their enforcement throughout the county. And in terms of when it's on private property without the permit and approval, our code enforcement division does go out and enforce.
Well, this has got to burden the code enforcement tremendously because it's not only is it off hours, but it's just becoming more and more prolific as you drive down main thoroughfare, 17th, Grand. I mean, even in Morrison Park, there's a guy that has a fruit stand on the corner of Memory Lane and Flower.
So there's no permit required for any of these.
You're supposed to have
A health permit.
a health permit.
But I can tell you the county is so inundated that they will only address when requested, and we have requested for their assistance.
It's just, I mean, you know, we had this restaurateur come in here to get his brick and mortar restaurant up and running, and he's all happy and everything else, only to find out that possibly 15 feet from where his restaurant's going to be, somebody just put a pop-up and said, hey, come on over here.
No permission is required from the city or from the property owner, which the stand is.
Simply amazing.
Oh, well, I think a lot of those, I think ADA compliance is one of the requirements. So
Path of travel,
Yeah.
as long as they have it, we allow a path of
Right.
travel and do not block those ADA access. The vendors are found to be in compliance.
Well, I'll take a look at what you sent and see what we got. Just wait to hear about the other. Thanks.
you're going to forward that to all the commissioners.
I will resend that information.
Thank you. Commissioner Wu, do you have any comments?
Yes, I just want to make staff aware, I know that we have our housing plan and general plan, which really protects our neighborhood and housing, setting goal for housing for low-income people. I was just on a Zoom with some investors and neighborhood groups and groups that work on evaluation of housing in low-income community through the property assessors and what you call when you sell a house and someone values the house.
Razor?
Yeah, appraisers, and mortgage lenders and housing developer and advocates in communities of color. What's happening is that because so many people from Arizona and Texas are flipping their houses in our community, it's difficult for a working family to be able to stay in their neighborhood. And one of the things we're looking at strategies of how to help communities like that stay in their neighborhood and be able to afford housing. And it's not a question of, it's just a marketplace problem that we're trying to solve, but also when the opportunity arises for looking at resources to assist those community in creating, more housing that is available in a manner that is also paying attention to our climate change, water, zero carbon housing design by the design and stuff. So I know that when I was in Denver, there were housing advocates that were looking at how and working with various groups from different disciplines to help communities of color stay in their own community rather than the gentrify. And I just thought that was kind of a admirable kind of goal. And at the same time, making those housing kind of self-sufficient by recycling water, creating their own means of growing the vegetables and lowering their energy burden. And the whole design of shared car and all that built on a community that kind of is a step into the future for community. Usually we're not able to access those type of resources in poor communities. But across the nation, foundations and corporations now beginning to look like we have to do something and invest money. So if they do, I hope that there's someone knowledgeable on the planning staff to help groups like that develop these type of little villages that are tailored to the income levels that are not in the in line for some of the housing in our community.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Ramos, do you have any comments?
Yes, so I would just like to ask staff if you can provide a brief recap on what happened with the housing element. So I know I went to council last week, but for viewers, if you could just let them know very briefly what the housing element is, what it means that council, like what council did and where we are now.
Thank you. I was going to give you an update as part of
sorry.
my presentation, but that's okay. So at the last meeting, the city council approved and received the recommendation from the planning commission back in December when you heard and conducted a public hearing on the housing element. The recommendation from the commission was forwarded to the council and the council received and based on that recommendation, approved staff to submit the housing element to the Department of Housing and Community Development with the state for the review and certification of our element. Since December, after your recommendation, we have been working with the community, working with HCD to ensure that we respond to all the comments that we received and with a goal of getting certification from HCD. Our staff have worked tirelessly with the HCD staff and revised the document based on their comments. We believe that we are there and we will be submitting after the 7-day posting as required by HCD. So I anticipate that by the following of next week, we'll be able to submit to HCD for their 60-day review. Our goal is to have it certified has been adopted by the city council with the certification of by HCD of the housing element. We will be in compliance with state law.
Great, thank you. So I wanted folks listening in to hear that part, that we are en route to be in compliance and we shouldn't have to worry about any of the things that come when you're not in compliance.
Yes, and we are actually very fortunate in the fact that we will not require any kind of rezoning because that is a process that will take time. Based on our current draft element, all of the units will be handled by the existing pipeline projects that we have already. So.
Thank you. And I have another question. So I know today we had a member of the public come and speak on short-term rentals. And I know it's something that has briefly been discussed by the Planning Commission. So I'm wondering if there's a timeline for us to see anything on short-term rentals.
At this point, no. Obviously, we were unable to take any directions at this time, but I just can tell you that we have looked into this issue in the past because of the issue of including affordability, as well as other issues. The city has opted to continue with our enforcement on the current regulations, which is that it is not permissive within our code, and it's something that is not permitted and allowable within the city. So currently, it is not a permitted use and activity of a single family home or any non-transient hotel related approved activities.
Thank you. And was there, I think I might be a little bit confused. Was there any additional action that needed to be taken by the commission or council? No? Okay.
Not at this point.
Okay, great. Those are all my questions. And I also just want to thank Commissioner Pham for his vote of confidence. Thank you.
Vice Chair Pham, do you have any
Thank you, Chair.
comments?
I'd like to thank you all my fellow commissioners for the vote of confidence. And I'm lucky enough to be on a commission with 2 concurrent chairs here and to learn from their example. So hopefully I'm able to follow suit, fill in those big shoes. And congratulations to Vice Chair as well. And yeah, I appreciate the vote of confidence, and hopefully we'll continue running the meeting as it's always been. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Pham.
I'm sorry, at this point, public hearing has been closed and public comments is closed. I just advise that if you have any additional comments, please do what you have done here, is to provide in writing, and we certainly can forward it to the planning commission. Thank you.
Yeah, I was going to comment on your remarks as well. First, I wanted to say thank you to all the commissioners for allowing me to serve as chair. It felt very, very privileged throughout the year. A lot of divergent viewpoints and experiences here that are incredibly valuable to the city. And so it's a pleasure serving with you. And congratulations to Bao Pham and Miguel Calderon on their new positions. Look forward to a year under your leadership. I'm sure you'll do great things. I also wanted to comment on Mr. Menike's presentation early on. I'd interestingly been having the same thoughts that it seems like there is room within the city to develop a short-term rental ordinance, given the inflationary pressures and the tax that inflation creates on middle and lower income families. There's an opportunity there for those families to generate income, additional income. And I think there are ways to offset some of the additional services that are required there with the additional fees that were mentioned through the websites. So if other commissioners are think along the same lines, I'd encourage them to talk with their council members and see if we could get some momentum headed in that direction. Because certainly there's more than zero opportunity here. Perhaps CUP as the presenter, as Mr. Menike mentioned, might be one avenue. He kind of groans over here, but that's something we should think about. And I also wanted to mention I met with Public Works regarding the Fairview Bridge that we approved several meetings ago. I expressed concern or just wanted to see the design. So we did review that. And I think what came out of that is two kind of overarching issues. I think we need to step back with our Public Works projects and take a 30,000-foot view. These projects are with us, as I mentioned, for a long time. The bridge was with us for 60 years. And it's important to see these things as a way of branding Santa Ana. So they're with us so long, look at them, and so many people experience them. It's an opportunity for Santa Ana to present itself as a great place to live and shop and play. And the other thing we need to do, especially with Public Works projects, is when we present those, think about how are we positively impacting the environment. That's one thing I saw that was missing from that presentation is what are the metrics of the carbon footprint? How are we reclaiming that over time? So take a look at these projects from that viewpoint, and we can do better. So those are my comments. And with that, do we have any other comments at this point? With that, I'll adjourn the meeting to Monday, August 8th at 5:30 p.m.